Fellas, listen closely. You ever think you're running the show? Until one day she's just gone. Not physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually gone. She's still cooking, still texting back, still showing up, but it ain't the same. Wanna know when you lost her? You lost her the moment she found herself, and by the time you realize what happened, she's already 10 steps into her healing. Let me break this down for you. Step #1. She was never truly seen or heard. She sat right in front of you night after night, pouring out her soul in 100 quiet ways, not always with words, sometimes in the way she'd pause before saying something, just hoping you'd notice the sadness behind her smile. Sometimes in the way she'd ask, "Are you okay?" Even when she was breaking inside, praying you'd return the question. You saw her body, you heard her voice, but you didn't see her, not the way she needed. You didn't catch the weight she was carrying, because she always carried it with grace. You didn't realize how loud her silence was, because you were too busy assuming everything was fine as long as she wasn't complaining. But she did speak. Oh, she did. In her tone, in her patience, in the way she gave you chance after chance to just pay attention, to ask the questions that mattered, to stop dismissing her emotions like they were too complicated or inconvenient. She didn't want flowers or fancy things. She just wanted to feel like she mattered, like her thoughts had value, like her pain wasn't invisible, but you brushed it off. You heard what you wanted to hear. You saw what made you comfortable. You were present, but not available. She tried to tell you who she was, what she needed, what she feared. But you only listened when it was convenient for you. You wanted the benefits of her presence without doing the work to hold space for her truth. So slowly, day by day, she stopped talking, not because she had nothing to say, but because she realized it didn't make a difference. Step #2. Her love was loud. Your attention was quiet. She loved you in ways you didn't even recognize as love. Not just in the "I love you" texts or the way she held your hand in public, but in the quiet sacrifices, in how she remembered the little things you said in passing and brought them back when you least expected it, in how she'd stay up late just to make sure you got home safe, even when you forgot to check in how she'd defend you behind your back and push you forward to your face. She loved you out loud, not for show, but because that's who she was. She wanted you to feel it, not just know it, but your attention. It was barely a whisper. You'd nod without really listening. You'd scroll through your phone while she poured her heart out. You'd hear her laugh, but never ask what made her so happy. You'd see the tired in her eyes, but never question the cause. She made effort feel easy, but you made acknowledgement feel like work. Her love was action, consistent, present, intentional. Your attention was convenient, offered in pieces only when it required little of you. She gave you 100% and celebrated your 20% like it was gold. She hyped you up, stood by you, rooted for your growth even when you didn't ask for it. But when it was her turn to be noticed, to be celebrated, to be seen the way she saw you, you were quiet. Not in words, but in presence. You thought showing up was enough, that being there meant being involved, but she needed more than your body in the room. She needed your heart in the moment, and instead, she got silence in the spaces where she poured her everything. Step #3. She stopped begging to be chosen. There was a time when she used to wait on you, not just for your texts or your calls, but for your validation. For that moment when you'd finally make her feel like she was it. Not an option, not a backup plan, not someone convenient when it fit your mood, but the one. She used to rearrange herself just to fit into your world, convincing herself that if she loved you hard enough, if she stayed patient long enough, you'd eventually see her the way she saw you. She twisted herself into knots trying to be enough for you. Enough to win your full attention, enough to earn your consistency. Every time you chose distractions, she told herself maybe she needed to be more understanding. Every time you were cold, she blamed herself for not being warm enough. She confused your indecision for her inadequacy. She gave you grace when you gave her confusion, and in the quiet of her heart she waited. Waited for the moment you'd look at her and finally decide, yes, you, only you. But that moment never came, and after a while, something shifted. She got tired, not the kind of tired that comes from lack of sleep, but the kind that comes from constantly proving your worth in a place you should have been honored without question. She began to realize that choosing her shouldn't require begging. That love, real love, doesn't put you in a lineup. That being someone's second choice in a heart you gave everything to isn't love. It's survival. And she was done surviving. She started seeing herself the way you refused to, as valuable, as worthy, as a whole woman who should never have to fight for the bare minimum. Step #4. Her peace became more valuable than your presence. There was a time when just being around you brought her comfort. Your presence used to mean something. It made her feel safe, grounded, like maybe things weren't perfect, but at least she wasn't alone. But slowly, that presence turned into a storm. It came with tension, with unpredictability, with questions she didn't have the strength to ask any more. You'd walk into the room, and instead of peace, she felt pressure. Pressure to keep things calm, to avoid the wrong topics, to smile even when she was hurting, to keep the energy light so you wouldn't shut down or blow up. She started noticing how drained she felt after spending time with you, how she couldn't breathe deeply around you the way she could when she was alone, how being near you meant shrinking parts of herself just to avoid another argument or being dismissed. The silence between you wasn't comforting anymore. It was heavy. The conversations weren't healing. They were careful, calculated, almost scripted. She was always watching her tone, measuring her words, trying not to say the wrong thing that might flip your mood. And then one day she found herself sitting in the quiet. No calls from you, no texts, no plans, just her. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel sad. She felt still. She felt clear. She realized that the absence of your presence didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like relief. No more walking on eggshells. No more pretending. No more emotional exhaustion. Just peace. Silence that didn't sting. Solitude that healed. Her nervous system wasn't bracing anymore. It was breathing. She started to protect that peace like it was gold. She stopped letting your late night messages shake her. She stopped checking her phone for your attention. She stopped letting your moods dictate her day. That calm she found, it became her new standard. Step #5. She became who she was trying to be for you. She spent so long molding herself into what she thought you needed. She studied your patterns, your preferences, your pain, and tried to become the woman who could heal it all. Not because you asked her to, but because she loved you that deeply. She thought if she adjusted just enough, toned herself down here, softened her strength there, bent a little more, maybe you'd finally give her the love she craved. Maybe you'd see her, choose her, prioritize her. She bit her tongue in arguments to keep the peace. She dimmed her fire so you wouldn't feel intimidated. She put your dreams first, even when hers were sitting in the corner collecting dust. She wore the smile you liked even on days when she was falling apart inside. And all the while, she thought that if she kept showing up, kept proving she was the one, eventually you'd meet her there. Eventually you'd match her effort, give her the same energy she was pouring into you. But while she was busy trying to become your ideal, she was slowly losing herself. She wasn't saying what she really felt. She wasn't living how she really wanted. She was always editing her truth to fit into your comfort zone, and it hit her. She was becoming a version of herself she didn't even recognize, all for someone who never saw the real her to begin with. So she took it all back, the energy, the effort, the overthinking, the way she wrapped herself around your needs, and she started pouring that love inward, all the patience, the care, the attention she gave to you. She turned it on herself. And slowly she began to rebuild, not into someone new, but into who she was always meant to be. Not for you, not for anyone else for her. She stopped shrinking, stopped apologizing, stopped performing. She stood up straighter, laughed louder, took up space. The woman she was becoming, that was the woman she tried to become for you. But this time she was doing it for her. Step #6. You didn't lose her because she changed, you lost her because she finally saw the situation for what it really was. For the longest time, she looked at you through the lens of potential, through hope, through love, through the belief that if she just held on long enough, things would shift, that you'd grow, that you'd wake up and realize what you had. But she waited and waited, and in that waiting, she slowly started waking up herself. She didn't become bitter. She became clear. She started seeing how much of herself she had been giving away just to keep something alive that was draining her. She started noticing the patterns, the broken promises, the half-hearted effort, the emotional absences, the little lies you told with your actions, not your words. And the more she saw, the more the illusion cracked. The more she realized she had been holding on to a version of you that existed only in her hope, not in reality. It wasn't a switch that flipped overnight. It was gradual. It was every ignored message. Every time you made her feel like her needs were too much. Every time she had to hype herself up just to feel worthy of the bare minimum. Those moments added up. They chipped away at the story she had written in her heart. Until one day the story changed. She didn't become someone else. She just stopped pretending you were someone you weren't. She stopped bending her truth to keep the peace. She stopped making excuses for the way you loved her or didn't. She didn't lose love. She gained perspective. She stopped begging for the emotional crumbs you called affection, and started demanding the fullness of a connection that honors her. Fellas, listen, you didn't lose her because she became cold. You didn't lose her because she changed. You lost her because she finally saw herself, and when she did, she realized she was settling for less than she deserved. You kept thinking she'd always be there. But you forgot, even the strongest woman has a breaking point. She begged, she bent, she tried, but she got tired, and when a woman gets tired of begging to be chosen, she chooses herself. So now you're standing in the wreckage of your silence, wondering where she went. She didn't disappear, man, she just walked into the life she always deserved, and you're just now realizing you never lost her, you just never knew how to keep her.